see it in your eyes. I can see it in your heart.
Ooh. Not bad, eh? I guess we're live.
We're live. We're filming.
We're filming. Okay. I'm sat.
I'm cross.
I can't cross today because I have a skirt on.
Yeah. Modesty. Very important. Actually, not very important given today's topic.
True.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be talking about the opposite of modesty, which is...
Immodesty?
Immodesty? No. Let's say excess.
Excess. Yeah. Yes. Gluttony.
Gluttony.
Yes.
Just an overall outpouring of food.
Food. Glorious food.
Ingredients. So yeah, today we're going to talk about art and food and how food has been depicted in artwork.
Yeah.
And Caravaggio. So we're going to talk about the Renaissance again. Is that Renaissance period or a bit later?
He's end of the
He's
Renaissance.
end,
He's
right.
really like that shift more towards the northern
Yes.
artists. Yeah. This is source needed.
By the way. Oops. I'm Abby.
And I'm Liz.
And today we're going to talk about art
And food.
So why this topic? Well, I thought it was really interesting because my sister is currently writing her thesis about the aesthetics of pastry.
Can I ask which sister? Oh, this
True.
is,
I have a lot of sisters. So this is Kate.
Yes. And Kate worked as a baker in a bakery.
She worked as a pastry chef
Yeah.
in hotels. And I thought it was super interesting because her main argument is that people purchase pastries today according to their aesthetic. So do or don't pastry chefs feel pressure when they make, a new recipe or a creation? Does it have to look good? And I think there's such a relationship between food and how it looks, and it's not just how it tastes, but it's also the presentability of food. And I think that's something we can trace back to art. So that was my kind of inspiration.
I like the inspiration. And also, we often talk about how there are so many like weird coincidences between the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
My sister, in a very different way, also worked as a pastry chef. She took a part-time job at a Wegmans where she was just decorating the cakes.
Oh.
And that was her gig for like a summer.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that. I love having sisters, or a sister that's interesting. Because even like, I think she's doing like a little pastry cafe this weekend, and she's having friends over.
That's
lovely.
lovely.
She's gonna be like baking for them, which is super cute.
Making food for people is just a wonderful way of showing love.
I know.
Yeah.
People that have that as their love language are just like amazing.
But what motivates artists to paint food?
That's a great question. I think if we look back in history, obviously, like depicting food was a way of showing off bounty, and it was very much a symbol also for fertility, and
it was a symbol with it, like in the Renaissance when you don't really have still lives as just a solo theme. So when you would have things that we think of as still lives, like a bounty of food, it would be used to tell part of the story of the larger painting. It wouldn't be the sole focus. And then at the end of the Renaissance, especially in the Low Countries, in Amsterdam and the Netherlands, in general, you have this leaning towards the still life genre more, which then the Italians, your article points out, started to be like, oh, maybe we should paint normal stuff for a bit. And they really were very classist about it. They really viewed it as low art.
But at the same time, I think it's really interesting because in the article, Caravaggio's Artichokes, and it's a really fun article because it kind of goes into, I think it's part biography, part art history, part food history, and it really characterizes what was happening at the time in Rome, and this is early 1600s, and essentially it describes a scene on April 26, 1604, when Caravaggio goes to an osteria and he orders artichokes, and he orders part of them with butter and the other half, I think it was with oil.
Yeah.
And he asks the waiter, okay, so how do I know which one is with butter and which one's with oil? And the waiter allegedly didn't know and proceeded to smell
Yeah,
the
you
artichokes.
can tell how which one's which because of the smell.
Because of the scent, which is logical, but it's also not very proper to
kind of the accounts, because it became a thing. Like,
there are various accounts.
Yes, he picked it up with his fingers and like sniffed it with his nose, which is not what you want your waiter to do with your food.
But Caravaggio, if you know anything about him, you should know that he was extremely volatile.
Yeah.
He was just so like shocked that he just pushed the plate of artichokes into the waiter's face.
Yeah. Presumably hot as well.
Yep. The waiter then proceeds to go to the police station, files a complaint. Anyway, this scene goes down in history.
Yeah.
And also because, I mean, Caravaggio is just a master painter, and he does include a lot of depictions of fruit and veg in his paintings, which is very interesting because, as you said, prior to, I guess, at least in Italy at the time, still life was considered a lower genre of painting.
Yeah. Part of a greater whole.
Right. And now Caravaggio kind of makes it more highbrow because he puts it in portraits with different, there's the painting with Bacchus. And of course that makes sense for the subject matter. But yeah, you see different vegetables. The artichoke is featured. And I love that. I love that scene, but I also really want to get into like, what is it about food and the visuals of food that strikes us?
That's so appealing because there's like this bounty in front of us, right? But then you also often see food shown in this rotting form. Your article even says that Caravaggio painted so accurately some of the mold that you would find on these fruits and cheeses that people can still identify what species of mold it is on his food.
I love that. And I think that then also becomes later, or at least in like the Low Countries and then in Northern Europe, and we mentioned this a bit in the previous episode, but also kind of the Vanitas, right?
Yes.
And the idea of...
This feeds very well in with the Vanitas.
Yeah. So food, you know, the passage of time and, you know, a reminder as well that, you know, things will rot with time and you know, all of the pleasures in life will also fade with time.
Yeah. But also with the painting, like when you have a nice still life of food, I can imagine like it's difficult for us to think of it because we can get access to food year round, any food. You get strawberries outside of strawberry season, but for them having a lovely painting of some strawberries would be this tantalizing thing that's keeping you on edge until you're actually able to have them again the next year.
Right. It's also fascinating because a lot of these foods were coming in sometimes from the Middle East. So the artichoke does derive from the Middle East, made its way to Naples and then up to Rome. And it was also seen as a collectible for a long time.
Yeah, your article gets into the history of the artichoke too, which I appreciate.
I love that. I was like, thank you for mentioning. Because
the linguistics as well.
Because it's actually from Arabic.
Yeah.
I loved that. But I also think it's so interesting because now today it's very relevant. Even I think in Japan they grow these like specialty like strawberries. Have you seen this on Instagram? Where like one strawberry, I think you can also get them at what's that grocery store called? Erewhon. Yeah, you can buy them there. It's like one strawberry for $15.
Yeah, of course.
And it's supposed to be
this luxury strawberry. Yeah.
The best strawberry.
Yeah. We were talking a lot leading up to this as well about Instagram and like the trend of using food as a performance of wealth that we see now. I mean, you see it. That's part of these paintings, right? Is like showing off having a nice painting with beautiful food. But I actually saw like a TikTok. Someone was talking about how you're actually seeing food being used as like sexy advertising. Like it's just an accessory and part of like an editorial shoot or something. Like it has nothing to do with what you're actually selling. It's just set dressing because it shows this bounty and access. And especially in America, there's this huge conversation about food deserts, and despite all of this wealth that we have in the country and like the amount of resources for everyone, there's still not enough to go around.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the trend of people, I mean, people have always been posting their meals on social media, I feel like. Yeah. I mean, there's this whole kind of subgenre of videos where it's just people eating. Mukbangs.
Yes.
I mean, that's also like, obviously there's something like happening here where we love watching other people eat. We love seeing pictures of food.
Yeah.
And I think there is, of course, it's very much playing with your senses. It's playing with opulence, with indulgence
as well.
And it's erotic.
Like, watching someone eat is very pornographic.
Mm-hmm.
What are you getting out of it? It's observing them.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have like that dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Consuming something.
And also like the gluttony of sex
Mm-hmm.
paired with the gluttony of food.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard like a sex therapist once talking about like the idea that you should, sorry, mom, that you should masturbate and have like incorporate food into it to like balance those two pleasures. So they were like saying traditional stuff like chocolate covered
Mm-hmm.
strawberries. But then they said, okay, then try fried chicken. You sent me the glory post as well, which made me think of it.
That's such a good one. Wait, because there is something like carnal about eating like fried chicken.
Yeah.
Like it's very much like, well, that was the article. I found an article on Substack about this, and it was talking about how somebody had said on TikTok, I never eat evidence food on a date because I don't want to leave evidence of having eaten. There was just some type of, because
it was part of like the larger conversation of dating now, and there was this woman who was like, in order to make myself look perfect on a date, I won't eat things like shrimp or lobster, anything that's going to leave evidence
or
of
traces.
How I eat.
Exactly. So there's also something gendered here, I think. And if there's a painting by I just had it was at the Tate, let me find it was by Bacon, and it's this woman, which I think is so fascinating. It's Nathaniel Bacon's painting Cookmaid with still life of vegetables and fruit. And I think like you can also make this link between women, bounty, fertility, and food. I mean, in this painting in particular, there's a woman holding, I think, a pumpkin or a squash.
Something big.
And she's got this bosom.
Yes, she does.
It's about to
overflowing
out of her brassiere.
So we've got the bounty of the fruit and the bounty of fertility.
And interesting how women are depicted not eating, but just next to food. And I think women, if related to that Substack post, like, are women embarrassed to consume in front of, because we're supposed to be kind of this idyllic, like perfect, you never see women eating like really getting into it
way. But that's something that people also like appreciate, like
they do.
That's more of a reality of a situation, right? And you're right, it's not something that we see depicted. There was a movie with Amy Adams that I haven't seen that came out just this past year. It was called not Nocturnal Animals. It was a movie where like the plot is that she's a new mom and she turns into a dog basically at night. Like, it's weird. I think it's called like Dog Lady or something. What the hell? But part of the trailer was like scenes of her just like growling and like stuffing her mouth with food. And there is something really gross about watching someone eat. Like
that. Like, why do you think that? Like the hot dog eating competitions to me are like the grossest thing.
That's not as gross to me as like someone who's eating and like food is dripping out of their mouth, grease covering their chin, like food getting under the nails. Whereas the person who wrote the Guts and Glory article that you sent on Substack would be like, that's how I eat. I love it. I love eating like that. I get to fully enjoy the pleasure of eating as well.
Yeah. I think there's such a link between like food and sex again here because it's also, I mean, if you think about it as well, like women enjoying sex, like taking ownership of their pleasure, that's also a relatively like new thing that we're kind of normalizing and talking about indeed. So I think eating is a whole nother facet of that. I think the two are very related. And in art, it's just fascinating because we don't really see a lot of artwork in this time period of people eating. In fact, I would say very little. I mean, if you think about
getting drunk
but
for sure, not so much eating. No,
maybe some of like
Jan
Steen.
Yeah.
But those are scenes of peasants, so it's a whole nother thing. But yeah, in these paintings, the food is untouched. It's perfect. And
well, okay, I am going to say that with a lot of still lives, you often see food, like there aren't any people in it. You don't see people actively eating, but the food is in some state of being devoured.
Okay.
So rarely is it shown like completely full and perfect. There's always some human intervention. But yes.
Yeah. Sometimes you even have a little fly.
Yeah.
Which I love. I love those. Or something that's about to teeter off the table. Or sometimes you even have like a cat.
Yeah.
Perch.
Some other animal that like incorporates.
So it's supposed to be realist.
Yeah.
But I will say even in the realism, there's a sense of perfection. Because there's like, I think it was very important for the artist to kind of depict food as accurately as possible, and that would have been seen as skillful.
I was thinking skill the whole time we were talking. Yeah, that's exactly it.
There's still like the technicality of it is very, I think that would, as perfect as it can be. So I find that very, very interesting. And I think it's so fascinating how even, through the ages, I think humans have loved like looking at food, interacting with food as art, not even art of food.
Yes.
Food as art.
There's actually a great series on YouTube from The Art Assignment based in Indiana and Indianapolis. And they go through a few different cookbooks by different artists. So they do Monet, but more along the lines of what we were talking about, they do Salvador Dali as well. And his whole book is about like taking food to a level of extreme performance, like going so over the top that like you're kind of losing the point of the fact that you're about to eat this thing. But he invested so much in like the artistry and all the recipes in the book and how you display it, which also is giving a little bit of Martha Stewart. Yeah,
because I think cooking can also become a performance.
Yes.
I'm thinking about like it can also be commentary on maybe gender roles, because I guess when you get into like the 1950s and 60s, do you know the artist Martha Rosler? She made these like videos of herself. There's
eating?
Work by her, not eating. She would be in the kitchen preparing food. And she kind of does it in a way where it's so repetitive. You kind of start perceiving it as absurd. And a lot of her work is about like, the gender roles and how women were very much pressured into kind of a domestic life. And she makes a lot of commentary also on the contrast of that, and then of course the politics of the time, the Vietnam War, and her work. I think there's a piece by her in the Stedelijk. And there's also a lot at the Art Institute of Chicago. But yeah, so I think cooking is as a performance, food as a performance. I think all of these themes have been very prevalent throughout history, and it's something that we continue to engage with today,
especially because I like a lot of the topics that you've picked, because you bring in a bit of a wider range in art. Like you've chosen quite a few topics that have to do with architecture and now food as well, and these are other areas of artistry, right, that I'm so excited to delve into. But yeah, food is an art form in itself, and there's some quote that's about like having a good meal and how you shouldn't pair a good meal with good music because they spoil each other. Like they each are deserving of their time.
I love that. But then by that same argument, you shouldn't combine food and sex. Right. I also think another thing that was coming to mind is kind of the increasing popularity of gourmet grocery stores. And I feel like this is specifically happening a lot in New York. I mean,
New York, LA.
New York, LA, Erewhon
kicked it off. Well, I guess Whole Foods kicked it off in the US, being as like a big chain that was more promoting food as lifestyle. Maybe even Trader Joe's, because it had that cult following.
Yeah.
And then you get these really rich, hyper specific food stores.
Yeah.
But you showed me one in New York. What was it called?
Well, you have Grace's, which is on the Upper East Side. I love that grocery store. It's so expensive. Like you cannot like sustain yourself by going to this place, but they just have really good. They have the fishmonger, they have the cheese guy. I mean, it's just amazing, and the quality is amazing. You also used to have Dean and DeLuca in Soho that has since gone bankrupt. But you also like now there's one called Alimentari Flaneur, and this guy, what's his name? Daniel Suarez. He basically started like this concept of bringing back like well-sourced, like intentional food products to New York and creating a luxury food shopping experience. And there's a huge market for that, especially I think in New York.
But the thing is, I feel like these stores, a lot of what they're trying to replicate is what you have at markets in Europe.
Yes.
And even like Asia as well, just naturally. Literally. Just the way it's naturally set up, where everyone is their own owner of their stall instead of one person owning all of it.
Yeah. There's something nostalgic about it. I think they're really trying to indeed recreate what you have in a city like Paris, or I guess any like European city with like markets that are accessible to people, with the fish guy, your cheese guy, your meat guy, like every, you know, the wine monger, like everyone has his place.
When I lived in Florence, I had very little success making a lot of Italian friends. Just Florence itself is not easy to do that, but a lot of the Italians that I still like know when I go back to Florence for the people that provided me food in some way. So those were very important relationships.
I mean, and it's also something that I feel like is so sacred in those, especially in Italy. Like, you, of course, you're going to go to like the cheese guy for your cheese, you know? I feel like I even noticed in Paris, like didn't hate it, but going to like a Franprix or like a Carrefour, I mean, these are just like chain grocery stores. Albertijn in the Netherlands. I mean, yeah, like it's a grocery store, it does the job, but like if you want to get that feeling of luxury, you'll have to go to like the small local shops. You have to go
shop to shop, which is a way that I like shopping for my groceries. Do I always have time for it? No, so I do end up going to the Albertijn. But you're right, the Dutch grocery stores, they don't present their food in an overly appealing manner. It's very cultural, I think,
it's very
extremely practical. Even in the US, like where it is still practical, like a regular grocery store, you have just so much abundance, so much variety in the options that it takes on this like fantastical journey when you're at the grocery store. That's one of my favorite things to do when I go to a new country, is to bring people to the grocery store, to go to the market always.
I do think that displays are so much they're very like intentional in the States, like even at these mega grocery stores you can tell that there's a psychology to it, you know. I actually think I read, this was like years ago, I guess there was this experiment where in the bread aisle they like also would kind of spray like the scent of bread, and that would encourage people to buy more.
Wow, it's like a casino.
I know.
Like, and a shopping mall as well. All of this psychology that goes into selling. There are also bidding wars on the end caps of grocery store aisles. Look, because like you want to get your food placed there so that it sells more. I don't feel like anyone bids over the end caps at the Albertijn. I think that's where you put your sale items.
I agree. Exactly. And also, I mean, the Dutch in general, food is energy, like food is calories. There's not this like kind of sacralized ritual of getting, you know, grocery shopping, but that is something that I think, again, I mean, I love, and I think also these artists in depicting their food in such a way, they play into that, they play into the senses, they play into the rituals kind of, and also the indulgence side, and maybe like the erotic side, which is so fun to think about.
The what you were saying earlier about the artist who does like a lot of repetition actually reminds me of a painting at my hometown museum, the Milwaukee Art Museum. It's a copper pot, and it's just with egg yolks.
Ooh.
So it's just the yolks of eggs, and it's like brimming with nothing but that. But that kind of like excess is again sort of hysterical. Like, why on earth do you need that many egg yolks? There's nothing to do with just yolks.
I think some artists actually play with the excess thing, and they go more into like the vulgar side of consumption.
You know, that makes a lot of sense too, because I feel like there's a lot of hyper realism art that is about food.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
And cutlery and you know, the reflection from the pots and pans, like that kind of stuff.
There's an artist that only does hyper realist paintings of her kitchen sink.
Oh wow.
And dirty dishes, and
I love that.
I'm gonna have to look it up because I don't know their name, but
I mean, even we were saying earlier with like Instagram photos, we all post photos of, you know, it's not even just because of social media. My uncle, like he has photo albums where he's taken photos of the meals that they had in the 80s. Like this is something that people just like doing. People doing sketches of their food. Actually, it's interesting. Gabe, my partner, he really enjoys taking more photos of the food after you've eaten it.
Yeah, to like a dirty plate. Yeah,
exactly.
I love that. Gone. It's like I did it.
There is evidence of the food.
Exactly. That's so good. Yeah, I feel like I prefer that. I prefer the real photos to, I think, you know, there's a lot of celebrities now that post like their perfect, you know, charcuterie board.
Yeah.
With, you know, everything and every bit, and just
the charcuterie thing has gotten out of hand. I think maybe not anymore. Like a year ago.
Yeah, really it peaked then, and now I think it calmed down. Thank God. I was getting a bit overwhelmed. I was like, okay. I think a lot of that is also when you post a picture like that as a celebrity, and maybe I'm guilty of it. I've definitely posted like pictures of meals, like good meals as well, but I think it's such a like slap in the face. Like, wow, you're really showing off. I mean, and I'm talking like long like dinner tables with just like so much food, like so, and just excess. And I feel like to me that gets a bit gross, because then I'm like, okay, this is a bit, but then I mean it's the same thing with like maybe Kim Kardashian showing off her jewels, or like any form of like flaunting your wealth. And in that way, I would say what I really appreciate then about still life from like the Renaissance period and like even into the 1700s is I like that then the food is also depicted rotting, or it's depicted more as real, because you wouldn't see like a celebrity posting like, you know, something rotten or anything. No. It is a reminder of, you know, the passage of time, death. It's supposed to also, I think, very much make you aware of your own like hubris and excess and indulgence, and make you reflect about like, why am I so obsessed with like worldly pleasures? And, you know, because it's, I mean, even at that time as well, like there were also people going hungry, and there was also war, and so at least like the artwork was a little bit like moral. At least it was trying to convey something as well.
And now it's more trying to hide something,
or just purely show off with like zero awareness of what's going on around you.
I'm also thinking there's this sculpture artist who does these really beautiful pieces, large like larger than life pieces of fruit and vegetables rotting, but then it's all done with like gemstones and like Swarovski crystal sort of deal, so it elevates this ugly thing into a beautiful thing.
Cool.
But then with food as well, I have a poem that I want to share, actually. I don't really know that we need to talk about my article.
It's fine,
we're on a roll without it. So this is a poem that I came across just today, actually, but I thought it worked so well with this topic. And I think it's a nice like counter to what we've been talking about. We've been talking about a lot of sort of the ways food can be used negatively or in excess. But getting to like the original purpose of food. So this is a poem called Tomatoes by Joy Sullivan. I waited so long for love, and suddenly here it is, standing in the garden, hands full of heirlooms hot from the sun. Soon we'll make a supper of them, salted slabs between slices of bread. Your beard silvers, my hips ripen, the mail piles up. Phone calls go unanswered. Forgive us. Our mouths are full of tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
We are so busy being small and hungry and alive.
I love that. I love Joyce Sullivan. I love her poetry. I love that.
It is a reminder, like,
because we all need food,
and even with the excess, it's still about like a bounty for life, right? And that if you have all of this food, what you're really trying to achieve is like life everlasting. And even with all these trends and different foods that you can eat, and again, we'll bring in the Kardashians to this, how they have all of their salads and, you know, fresh kale and fruit and veg in the fridge. Always it's because they're trying to attain eternal youth. Like,
I love that.
Yeah,
that's a good analogy. No, I think you're right. And I also think an appetite is a lust for life. I think those two things are very related. I think enjoying every bite, savoring, I mean, all of these things, like also cooking with someone you love is just like the best thing ever.
Oh, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Preparing, like we started off the episode with, you know, preparing a meal for someone. It's such a sacred, beautiful thing. And I think that artists have done such a great job also capturing that side of it, because I mean, even for someone, sometimes we have to like go back in time and imagine how these artworks would have been displayed. I think a lot of still life, I mean, it was very much for like, you know, domestic interiors. People would have hung it in their homes. And I think it's something that they probably would have gazed upon and just like, you know, really delighted in and just thought like, ooh, look at that.
It is bringing joy.
It's bringing joy. And some of the still life is a collection of food from abroad, and it's, you know, rarities or memories.
If you traveled and then you buy it. Yes. Oh, that is something that I do like to do when I travel, is to buy some kind of shelf stable product that I can then bring home. Yeah. To have a memory of the trip. Yeah. It's a good memento, everybody.
And also I think food teaches us to live in the moment, because you know, there are people out there who will buy a bottle of wine and they're going to wait for the perfect moment to drink it, or they buy like a nice cheese or whatever, or maybe like a nice jam or something, and you want to save it. Yeah. But I always think like, no, you have to eat it. It's meant
to be enjoyed.
You need to enjoy it. Like, don't wait for the perfect moment. There's not going to be a perfect moment. No. Just open that bottle and celebrate life.
The perfect moment is when you open it.
Exactly. Like every day you can celebrate something about life. Maybe that's also like,
and everyone has a different relationship with food, but it's necessary to life. So you do have to have some relationship with it. I mean, I know some people really, food is very practical for them. Yeah, and it's just getting that energy into the body, and then when you add the layer of like the family history to food and how protective people are of family recipes.
True. That's also a big part of it. And also I just thought of something that you mentioned, I think a few weeks ago, how I think you mentioned the study about how if you like, you know, say grace before you eat, or if you tell someone like, you know, enjoy your food, like in Dutch we say eet smakelijk, like really enjoy.
In Japanese they say itadakimasu. Yeah.
And then that food also gets processed better in the body.
Yes, you digest it better. You actually like incorporate those nutrients into your body better just because you took a moment of acknowledging the food. Yeah, it's really cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I think, that's beautiful. But I love that we're ending it on
such a lovely note. We're going to have dinner together now. Yeah. That's our plan for the evening.
Some
Open
artichokes.
A bottle of wine. Yeah, we're going to get some artichokes.
Yeah,
we wish we could have you over for dinner, but unfortunately...
we can't. But anyways, if you're about to enjoy a meal, eet smakelijk, bon appétit.
Itadakimasu.
Yeah, and see you next time.
Ciao.
Ciao.